Thank you very much, everybody. Hello. I am a radical feminist from Ukraine, and I have been an active supporter of abolition of the surrogacy laws in Ukraine for the last several years, as soon as I came aware of the issue. Our parliamentarians tried to ban abortions. A couple of years, they tried to legalize prostitution. 10 years, they failed to ratify the Istanbul Convention. So, since the year 2000, women in Ukraine are legally allowed to carry pregnancies for married couples for a compensation. The entirety of the legislative framework for surrogacy in Ukraine consists of 4 documents. 1 paragraph in the Family Code, 2 orders by the Ministry of Healthcare, and a paragraph in the rules for registration of acts of civil status. So basically, our legislation sees surrogacy as a medical treatment for infertility. And only married couples, officially married with a certificate, can apply for it. They can be both Ukrainian couples and foreign couples, and nobody checks whether in the country of residence of those couples, surrogacy is allowed. According to the Ukrainian legislation, a woman that carries this pregnancy is not legally a mother. She has no rights for the baby she gives birth to. And she, according to our practice, they don't have a say in medical procedures. The medical procedures are decided by the medical centers and by the commissioning parents. So when the baby is born, the woman signs off the waiver to the child. But even if she doesn't sign it, she has no rights to the baby. And if the commissioning parents don't take the baby with them, the baby ends up in an Ukrainian orphanage. If this baby is not given an official status, if this baby does not have the official certificate of birth with their nationality stated, they stay stateless persons and thus cannot be adopted. Then, what are the requirements for a woman? She has to have at least 1 child of her own. Childless women are not allowed into the program. They have to be younger than 35, and they are supposed to have no health issues. If she is married, she is required to produce a notary certified document from her husband that confirms that he does not mind her participation in the program. During the commissioned pregnancy, the woman is not allowed to have sex. Such requirements are usually written out in the contract that she enters into when she comes to the clinic. Even when they come for the initial consultation, a woman has to bring with her the entirety of her personal documents, the passport, her children's birth certificates, marriage certificate, and the contract that she enters with the clinic severely limits her freedoms. Practically, when they sign these contracts, they become, in practice, enslaved with very limited scope of decisions within their range. There was a case a couple of years ago. A well-off Ukrainian woman commissioned a pregnancy, and because she and her husband are vegetarians, they banned the woman that carried the child for them from eating meat for the entirety of her pregnancy. And she presented this in a detailed article that was published in a prominent pro-feminist resource as something very progressive, something to show off. I will offer you a couple of quotes from an actual contract a woman carrying a pregnancy for other people signed. She must report on her every move. She is supposed to meet with her child's genetic parents whenever they wish, but if they don't wish to contact her, she is not allowed to do so. She cannot swim, she cannot use public transport. She is obliged to coordinate all her actions. Some commissioning parents demand that the woman gives birth abroad because they don't trust Ukrainian maternity hospitals, and she is demanded to travel. What else? Just a second. So when the woman's own children fall sick, she is not allowed to tend to them. She is not even allowed to contact them personally. And if necessary, if the genetic parents or the clinic demand that she changes her place of residence, this can happen from the 5th month of her pregnancy. She is required to move to a designated place. We don't have the pregnancy hostels or places of stay. Usually the commissioning parents or the clinic would rent an apartment for 1 or 2 women that would stay together or live alone for the duration of the pregnancy. If she refuses to abort the pregnancy, if the potential parents demand so, she is required to reimburse all the medical procedures and all the funds spent on her pregnancy so far. Basically, this contract shows us that the child is an object to be produced and transferred, a commodity. And if the commissioning parents don't like the result, the child has the wrong color of hair, or too small, or weighs too little, there is no legal obligation for them to take the child with them. I would believe that this is nothing short of child trafficking. Based on estimates, there is no official data. Based on estimates, the number of children born through surrogacy in Ukraine is about 3,000 a year. Of them, only up to 10 are born to Ukrainian parents. This means that most of those clinics target foreigners, not Ukrainians. I already mentioned that if the parent's country doesn't allow surrogacy, it may become difficult for them to bring the baby with them to their country. There have been numerous such cases over the years. And as I said, if they are stateless in Ukrainian orphanages, they have very slim chances of being adopted at all. And if they have some disease or inborn defect, their chances are even lower than that. So there are about 45 clinics. Again, this is not official data. There is no official data on the issue. Activists calculated that there are about 45 clinics in Ukraine that offer such services to foreign clients. They are concentrated mostly in major cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, Odessa, and Lviv. But they mostly recruit women from poorer oblasts and bring them to the major cities because they have all the facilities and all the medical equipment that is necessary for it. They are not very worried about the health of women they recruit. Not a lot of contracts have the insurance included for women's health. They offer no psychological counseling, no postnatal care. They get rid of the women as soon as possible. And they keep looking for young women willing to do this to get the money that they have little chances to earn otherwise. I have a photo of such advertisement placed on a lamppost in a poor region of a major city. I will just give you it is in Ukrainian hryvnias. So for egg donations, the lowest benchmark is $1,500 for one procedure. And to the prospective surrogate mothers, they offer $27,000. For comparison, an average salary in state-funded sectors is $400. With Ukraine being invaded by Russia and with the population of internally displaced people with 1.5 million, we have no scarcity of people with little resources and who are desperate for a way to make better living for them and their children. And this is exactly the target group for clinics to engage in surrogacy. There are numerous incidents in maternity hospitals where women who are carrying these pregnancies are brought by the clinic and they are kept under lock and key, and every procedure is dictated by the clinic and by the commissioning parents. And these women are held like cattle, and they meet abuse and mistreatment from the hospital staff. I'm almost done. There are cases when clinics take women abroad to give birth to reduce the bureaucratic load with child's birth certificate and citizenship. And during the COVID pandemic and lockdown measures, such travels became a source of anguish for such women, because they either had to leave their newborn babies before they were able to complete the paperwork, or they were stuck there without no way to get back to their children during the pandemic left in Ukraine. And pretty much the major point that I wanted to make, there is no data available on how these women's health is affected by these procedures and this experience, because nobody collects this data. This is what I wanted to share with you, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you. Maria, can you tell us about Ukraine, how the government are informed about all this? Thank you.
In Ukraine, the overall sentiment is in support of surrogacy, and the parliament has at least 3 different draft laws to regulate this sphere, and only the police and services that work against trafficking in human beings have been raising concerns, and Ukrainian women's organizations don't have a united front on that, unfortunately. We've been participating in the events together with the representatives of ministries. We have been presenting the arguments. The problem is they see this as a very lucrative way to engage foreigners to come to Ukraine and spend money here. So there is a lot of first world, third world dynamics here. We try to speak to them, but they don't want to listen.
Yes, Maria, and do this surrogate mother having trouble, having health problem, or having any sort of problem, where do they find help? Who can help them in Ukraine, either from the feminist organization or from any other human rights organizations?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. Basically, the major issue here is that Ukrainian women's movement is rather fragmented. The younger feminist initiatives are mostly concentrated on intersectionality, promoting LGBT communities' rights, although we have a very strong gay and lesbian organizations, and promoting sex work and other issues. And older feminists are up to their heads with combating attempts to ban abortions, to legalize prostitution, and surrogacy is not a very high priority because other issues take precedence. So women that have gone through surrogacy, usually, as far as I can tell, they look for support to other women with the same experience. They have closed online groups on Viber and other messengers. And there is at least one NGO in Ukraine that claims to be the NGO of women who are surrogate mothers and who want to be surrogate mothers, and they demand that surrogacy stays legal. So they can also turn to regular social services, but as far as I know, they usually don't unless they have some severe health issues.
Thank you very much, Maria. Another question right now. Do you know how much a surrogate mother gets from a surrogacy? As there are so many brokers, intermediaries, clinics, and so on. What does she get really? What proportion of money does she get?
The money that they are offered initially can start from $10,000 to $20,000, and the sum may increase if she carries more than one baby. But the parents, based on, well, there needs to be a separate research on that because there is not that much data on it in open sources. But what I've seen, it is maybe 1/4 of what the prospective parents are paying, because 3/4 are taken by the clinic, by the medics, by the managers that manage the women. Well, it is still much cheaper than in other countries, or at least it is marketed this way.
You just told about twins, having twins, and that it's cheaper. Is it really true? And do you think that commissioning parents are asking for twins because it's cheaper? Mm-hmm. It means that a twin pregnancy is much more risky than a normal pregnancy.
Thank you. Yes, some parents do insist that the women carry a multi-fetus pregnancy. The clinics offer more money for this. The sum that woman gets increases, but is still significantly cheaper than having two separate surrogate pregnancies.
Mm-hmm. Maria, we had another question. Do you know whether women who have immigrated to Ukraine have been recruited as surrogate mothers? Mm-hmm. Because there is this the war on Donbass, this problem with a lot of refugees, and it's something which is questioning.
Ukraine is not a very popular destination for immigration, even for refugees from war-torn countries. But we do have a lot of Ukrainian citizens who are internally displaced, and the actual number of people who are displaced is significantly higher than those who are officially registered. The official number now is about 1.5 million, and yes, a lot of them have difficulties finding new jobs, getting their own apartments, So a lot of women who are IDPs are looking into ways to get into surrogacy, to be able to buy housing for their families, and they are targeted through online forums, through online groups, by the clinics. And I've been trying to find them on Facebook. A lot of those clinics peddle the idea for young women to bring happiness to childless families. So you can earn some money by making other people happy. This taps into women's socialization, and it offers them a way to make such money that will not be able to earn through traditional means. So it is contributing to the growth of the gap between the poor and the rich.
Thank you, Maria. It's very clear. It's very clear. I'm going to add something because we have an attendee who is adding something very, very interesting. She's saying that she is from West Africa, and she knows that women are often taken away from their family to be thrown into baby fabrics. They are just raped to produce babies. And I must say that we all also know the case in Senegal, women being captured to be raped and by people who sell the babies. It is something it's a very important hint here. As a coalition, we are starting a study. We are starting to study the link between migration and surrogacy. And what we learned from that is that there is nearly no difference between forced pregnancy and surrogacy. There is only one difference, which is medical practices between the women and the commissioning parents, but otherwise it's the same to us. There isn't any more question. Maybe we can stop here. We have to thank everybody to be here today. Sheila, Maria, Anna, thank you for your time and for having spent your experience with us. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. See you soon.